Have you ever experienced such intense anger that you felt completely out of control? When someone's words or actions cut deep, it can sometimes feel like everything around you are falling apart. On certain days, even a simple look or offhand remark can feel like the world is turning against you. In our fast-paced, high-stress world, it's easy to be swept up in a storm of negative emotions, from small annoyances to all-consuming rage. But is there a way to remain unshaken, to preserve your inner peace no matter what others throw at you? Can we truly live a life untouched by the emotional turmoil of others? Stoicism, an ancient school of thought with enduring relevance, offers powerful answers. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca faced immense challenges in their lives, yet they managed to maintain a remarkable inner peace, rooted in the wisdom of this philosophy. In this video, we'll explore 7 practical ways to not only manage your emotions, but also gain full control over your soul. What follows is not theoretical. These insights are grounded in the timeless teachings of Stoicism, distilled into actions you can apply right now. Stay tuned, because even if you apply just one of these methods, it can instantly transform your life. Let's jump right in. A core tenet of Stoicism that leads to inner tranquility is the full acceptance of whatever life presents to us. This doesn't mean we need to enjoy or even agree with everything that happens, but we must learn to face situations willingly, without resistance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This mindset of acceptance forms the foundation for breaking free from the cycle of anger and frustration. Imagine you're stuck doing a mundane task like washing dishes. If you approach the chore with reluctance, every dish you wash feels like an internal battle. But if you choose to approach the task willingly, even with gratitude, it no longer feels burdensome. It becomes just another task in the flow of life. Epictetus, in his discourses, advises us, do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead, want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well. This is the essence of willingness. Not resisting life, but going with its flow. In practice, this attitude can be applied to even the most frustrating situations. For instance, if you're stuck in traffic, you can either let the delay anger you, or you can choose to view it as an opportunity, perhaps to listen to your favorite podcast or reflect on your day. The choice is yours. When we accept life as it comes, stress loses its power over us. A key element of willingness is how we define our purpose in life. Instead of chasing after fleeting goals like wealth or material possessions, we can aim for a broader, more meaningful vision. Ask yourself, what is my vision? What kind of life do I want to create? Unlike short-term ambitions that lead to temporary rewards, a vision encompasses your entire existence. Living with a grand vision makes every action feel voluntary, because you realize that every experience, good or bad, contributes to your journey. By embracing life's flow instead of fighting it, you achieve a sense of freedom and peace that can't easily be disturbed. Consider the difference between feeling compelled to meet a work deadline and choosing to volunteer for a cause. The first often feels heavy and draining, while the second, even if challenging, feels fulfilling because it is done willingly. The key lies in your attitude. I choose to do this versus I have to do this. When we feel that we are in control, tasks take on a different meaning, and we find peace even in difficult circumstances. This perspective can be applied daily. If someone says something offensive, you have a choice. Let their words control your emotions and react in anger, or see it as an opportunity to practice willingness. You can tell yourself, this person is acting according to their nature, but I choose not to let it disturb mine. By accepting life as it unfolds, we don't abandon our efforts to improve ourselves or our circumstances. Instead, we recognize that some things are beyond our control. This mindset reduces pressure and empowers us to focus on what we can change. For example, if you receive criticism at work, view it as an opportunity to learn and grow rather than taking it personally. Remember, it's your reaction, rather than the event itself, that determines your peace of mind. Mastering this mindset is a journey, not an instant transformation. Start small. Accept your mistakes, see challenges as lessons, and approach daily inconveniences with grace. Over time, this practice will make you less vulnerable to anger and external disturbances, helping you discover a deep, resilient inner strength that allows you to live life on your own terms. A powerful technique to release ourselves from negative emotions, such as anger or frustration, lies in how we view the world. As humans, we naturally interpret the world through our personal filters. When someone behaves in a way that doesn't meet our expectations, we often react quickly and judge them. For example, if you're driving and someone is going slower than expected, your first thought might be something along the lines of, "How foolish." But have you ever considered that they could be a new driver, or perhaps they're driving cautiously because they have children in the car? It's essential to recognize that it's not the external circumstances that trigger our emotions, but rather how we perceive and interpret those situations. When we pass judgment on others, we add unnecessary emotional weight to our lives. Judgment isn't just a fleeting thought. It often becomes the root of anger. Take, for example, a colleague who frequently arrives late to work. If you immediately label them as lazy or irresponsible, your frustration will only build over time. However, if you consider the possibility that they might be caring for a sick family member or dealing with personal struggles, your view might soften. This doesn't mean you're justifying their behavior, but by letting go of judgment, you protect yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. Stoicism teaches us not to avoid challenges, but to face them with clarity. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, you always have the option of having no opinion. There's no need to trouble your soul with matters outside your control. No one is completely good or bad. People are shaped by their actions, which are influenced by their circumstances and understanding. Reflect on a moment when you didn't act your best, perhaps due to stress, fatigue, or simply having a tough day. Just as we can act poorly at times, so too can others, but that doesn't define them. With support and in the right environment, even the most imperfect individuals can demonstrate kindness. Under pressure, however, anyone can falter. Imagine being in a restaurant when a server accidentally spills water on your table. Your initial response may be frustration, thinking, "How careless." But if you pause and think for a moment, you might realize that the server could be going through a particularly difficult day. By shifting your perspective, you lighten your emotional burden. This is the essence of releasing judgment. It not only frees you from discomfort, but also enhances your ability to empathize with others. It's important to clarify that letting go of judgment doesn't mean condoning inappropriate behavior. It simply means choosing not to let the actions of others control your emotions. You can still discern right from wrong without letting negativity dominate your mind. As Marcus Aurelius also said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. The most effective response to harm is maintaining your composure and dignity. So, how can we practice non-judgment? The first step is awareness. Every time you catch yourself judging someone, ask, is this thought necessary? Does it add value to my life? Next, try to shift your viewpoint. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What could they be going through that you're unaware of? And always keep in mind that everyone is different, and those differences make life richer. Just because someone doesn't think or act the way you do, doesn't mean they're wrong. It's not worth wasting your emotional energy on judgments. Letting go of judgment means shedding emotional burdens and learning how to set yourself free. The next time someone irritates you, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this emotion really worth holding on to? You'll find that by viewing situations with empathy and understanding, you're not just being kinder to others, but also to yourself. Ultimately, ask yourself, do you want to hold on to anger, or would you prefer to live a life of freedom and peace? The choice is always yours. I once encountered a determined young entrepreneur who dedicated years to building a tech company, driven by the dream of revolutionizing an entire industry. When the product finally launched, however, the market response was less than encouraging. Disheartened, he blamed the customers for failing to appreciate its value and even suspected sabotage from his competitors. These emotions trapped him in a cycle of bitterness and helplessness. During a conversation, I encouraged him to shift his focus from the uncontrollable factors to areas where he could improve. This change in mindset opened up a fresh perspective. He stopped pointing fingers at others, refined his product, adjusted his approach, and embraced the slow yet steady path that true success often demands. By letting go of things beyond his control, he felt lighter, more creative, and ultimately achieved greater success than he had imagined. Stoicism is a powerful tool that not only changes how we perceive challenges, but also teaches us to ask crucial questions during stressful times. Is this within my control? Am I wasting energy on things I can't change? Is my reaction making the situation better or worse? These simple yet profound questions can free you from negativity. Letting go of control doesn't mean surrendering or becoming passive. Rather, it's about focusing on the things you truly have influence over: your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Imagine you're rowing a boat down a river. You can't stop the current, but you can guide the boat in a way that allows you to navigate its flow effectively. A practical Stoic exercise is premeditatio malorum, where you anticipate adversity before your day begins. Picture potential setbacks, like meetings being canceled, colleagues making errors, or bad weather disrupting your plans. Preparing mentally for these challenges makes them easier to accept when they inevitably occur. Ultimately, letting go is not a sign of weakness, it's an act of liberation. When you stop holding on to things you can't control, you'll discover a profound sense of peace. Start small. Don't try to change the opinions of others, dwell on past mistakes, or hold on to the unchangeable. Life flows like a river, and when you learn to move with its current, you'll find the peace you've been seeking all along. In life, no one is immune to moments of frustration or even anger when people don't meet our expectations. But have you ever wondered why we expect perfection from the world and the people around us? Stoicism teaches us that the demand for perfection is an illusion, and this illusion is often the root cause of much of our suffering. Realizing that imperfection is a natural part of life is the first step toward freeing ourselves from negative emotions triggered by others. Think about it. Have you ever felt disappointed when a colleague failed to complete a task properly, causing a ripple effect on your work? Or perhaps you were upset when a friend broke a promise or a family member said something hurtful. These situations are all too familiar. But is it realistic to expect everyone to be flawless? As Epictetus reminds us, it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather our judgments about them. Anger and frustration don't come from others' actions, but from the way we interpret them. The chaotic, imperfect world doesn't need to change for us to feel better. What needs to shift is how we perceive it. Consider a specific example. Imagine you've prepared extensively for an important presentation, but at the last moment, a colleague responsible for the supporting materials makes mistakes or omissions, seemingly sabotaging your efforts. Frustration is inevitable. You might think, why were they so careless when I put so much effort into this? But viewed through the lens of Stoicism, you'll realize that their mistake is beyond your control. Getting angry will only worsen the situation. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do now to make the best of this? By accepting imperfection, you not only remain calm, but also open the door to finding more effective solutions. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill. Selfishness and willpower, often driven by ignorance, stem from a lack of understanding about what is truly good or bad. If you begin your day acknowledging that perfection is impossible, it sets you up to handle challenges with strength and resilience. This isn't about being negative, it's about embracing reality, enabling you to face life's difficulties with composure. When imperfection is accepted, you are better equipped to manage obstacles with a calm mind. This mindset can be transformative in your reactions. For instance, when someone breaks a promise, instead of reacting with anger, remind yourself that they are human and may be going through challenges you're unaware of. If you ever feel misunderstood, resist the urge to jump to conclusions. Stay composed and seek understanding, as the other person might not have meant to hurt you, but simply lacked insight into your perspective. When confronted with rudeness or harsh words, ask yourself, does this truly harm me, or is it my perception causing the hurt? Accepting imperfection isn't about settling for less. It's about freeing yourself from expectations that can lead to disappointment. In fact, by embracing this perspective, you become liberated. Take relationships, for example. We often expect our partners to understand us perfectly, but even those who love us dearly can't always interpret our emotions or desires. Instead of blaming them, ask yourself, can I communicate more effectively to foster better understanding? This approach not only reduces dissatisfaction, but also cultivates deeper empathy. When you accept the world's flaws, you'll begin to see beauty in its imperfections. A careless coworker, an inconsiderate friend, or a rude stranger can become a chance to practice patience and compassion. Reflect on your own mistakes. If you seek forgiveness from others, why not extend the same grace? This perspective reminds us that everyone is doing their best. As Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Courage to face imperfection isn't just an act of kindness, it's the path to inner peace and freedom. Life doesn't need to be flawless for you to find joy. When you stop expecting perfection from the world and those around you, you release yourself from the chains of anger. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By letting these thoughts guide you, you can discover serenity even amidst chaos. This isn't about tolerating imperfection, it's the art of living well. Take responsibility for your emotions. When we learn to accept the world's flaws, we open a door to understanding ourselves more deeply. The world may be unpredictable, people may disappoint us, and plans may fall through. But does this really need to upset us? Accepting the imperfections of others is challenging, but the greater challenge is learning to manage our emotions when we can't change external circumstances. This brings us to a key question. Who is responsible for your emotions? Is it you or the circumstances beyond your control? Stoicism asks us to confront this truth. Picture yourself standing in a long supermarket line during a busy weekend. Suddenly, someone cuts in front of you without so much as a glance. Instantly, frustration rises. You feel disrespected. You could lash out, muttering under your breath, or carry that resentment with you the entire day. But there's another choice. You can pause and ask yourself, is this person's action really worth sacrificing my peace? They may be wrong, but why should their behavior dictate how I feel? When you choose to stay calm, something remarkable happens. The irritation fades. The person may remain unaware of their rudeness, but their actions no longer control your emotions unless you allow them to. Sure, the line may still be long, but your peace remains unshaken. That seemingly insignificant event becomes just another moment in your day, not the catalyst for a cascade of negative emotions. When you take control of your emotions, life becomes significantly lighter. Often, we unknowingly give away control of how we feel. When someone insults you, criticizes you, or ignores you, your first reaction might be anger or hurt. But ask yourself, why should their words or actions dictate your mood? Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Recognizing this empowers you to choose your response. Consider a time when you were unfairly criticized at work. Anger and frustration might have felt like the only options. But what if you reminded yourself that your value is not determined by others' opinions? By shifting your perspective, you free yourself from their influence over your emotions. How do you achieve this? Start with the power of pause. In difficult situations, ask yourself, am I overreacting? Is this worth losing my peace over? A brief pause creates a space between the trigger and your response, giving you the clarity to react with more control. The ability to choose calm over chaos is a powerful skill to cultivate. One effective practice that can aid in this is journaling your emotions. This technique, grounded in Stoicism, involves dedicating a few minutes each evening to reflect on the events of your day. Consider what upset you, how you responded, and whether there might have been a more composed way to handle it. Over time, this practice helps you identify emotional patterns, allowing you to develop the discipline to manage your reactions. The key to a peaceful life lies in taking responsibility for your emotions. No one has the power to make you angry or upset unless you allow it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, if you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. You possess the power to change this at any moment. His words remind us that emotions belong to us, not to anyone else. Protect your peace, and you'll discover that nothing can disturb your inner calm. Do these ideas resonate with you? If they do, I encourage you to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences and reflections, and if you see things differently, feel free to share your perspective. It could lead to a valuable and enriching discussion for everyone. Now, let's continue our journey together with the next lesson. Practice non-reaction in life. Unexpected situations often catch us off guard, whether it's a colleague criticizing you in front of others, a stranger cutting in line, or an unkind remark directed your way. While these moments may seem trivial, they can stir up frustration, anger, or offense. But is there a way to handle these negative emotions and maintain composure in the face of others' actions? The key to this is mastering the art of non-reaction. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This simple truth highlights that our emotions are not caused by the actions of others, but by how we interpret those actions. Consider a scenario where you're publicly criticized during a meeting. Your immediate reaction might be irritation or embarrassment, feeling called out in front of your colleagues. You might even feel compelled to defend yourself or retaliate to protect your dignity. But before you act, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, why should I let these words dictate how I feel? The colleague's hasty behavior doesn't define your worth or capabilities. It only reflects their state of mind at that particular moment. By choosing not to react, you protect your peace and preserve your professionalism in front of others. You could even respond calmly, saying something like, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll address that after presenting my ideas." That one moment of composed response grants you control over the situation. Your colleague, instead of facing hostility, will be disarmed by your poise. You, in turn, leave the meeting with confidence and a sense of tranquility. As Seneca wisely advised, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. One of the most effective ways to practice non-reaction is to give yourself a pause when insulted. Resist the urge to respond immediately. Instead, take a deep breath, reflect, and give yourself time to think. For example, if a colleague sends you a critical email, delay your response by an hour or even a day. This pause allows you to approach the situation with clarity and thoughtfulness, rather than reacting emotionally. Sometimes silence can be the most powerful response. By choosing not to retaliate, you protect your peace and prevent others from controlling your emotions. As the saying goes, if a donkey kicks you and you kick back, you are both donkeys. This parable reminds us that responding to negativity with more negativity only brings us down to the same level. Silence isn't a sign of weakness. It demonstrates inner strength and the ability to rise above the impulse for immediate retaliation. Imagine a heated argument where each word adds fuel to the fire. If one party suddenly stops engaging, the tension naturally subsides. The person who chooses silence emerges victorious, having mastered their emotions and preserved their peace of mind. Reflect for a moment. When was the last time you lost your temper over something insignificant? Was that anger truly worth sacrificing your peace? If you could go back, how would you handle it differently? These questions are an invitation for introspection and continuous self-improvement. As Marcus Aurelius so profoundly noted, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Understanding that we control our reactions empowers us to navigate life with more ease and composure. Non-reaction doesn't mean passively accepting everything that happens to us. It means discerning what truly deserves our attention and energy. By practicing non-reaction, we not only master our emotions, but also protect the peace within our soul. Remind yourself daily that, while you cannot control others' actions, you always have control over your response. Calmness, silence, and an unshaken heart are your most powerful weapons in this chaotic world. The core of Stoicism revolves around the concept of embracing life's challenges with inner peace. One of the key principles is to find joy in selflessness. When we train ourselves to remain calm and avoid quick reactions to life's challenges, our soul naturally becomes lighter. What once would have stirred up anger or frustration fades away like small waves in a vast sea. As we free our hearts from resentment, space is created for love, empathy, and generosity. This shift in perspective leads us to a profound form of joy, the realization that sometimes the best way to protect our peace is through forgiveness. On this journey, the mind finds serenity, and the heart expands beyond its former limits. Marcus Aurelius offers valuable wisdom when he says, "When you wake up in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." These words serve as a gentle reminder of the blessings life offers. Each new day presents an opportunity to love, to help others, and to live with a heart more open than the day before. Forgiveness, through Marcus Aurelius' lens, isn't something distant or difficult. It's simply recognizing that helping others brings joy, not only to them, but also to ourselves. I remember a story about a friend working in a high-stress environment, where he was often criticized, sometimes unfairly, by colleagues. Yet instead of responding with anger, he chose to pause and reflect, asking himself, "Is there something they're going through that I don't know about?" One day, he learned that one particularly harsh colleague was struggling with severe financial difficulties. This newfound understanding shifted his entire perspective. Instead of reacting negatively, he chose to listen, stay quiet, and even offer support when he could. Not only did their relationship improve, but the atmosphere at work also became less tense. In family dynamics, small disagreements can often blow up into major conflicts. Imagine a relative who constantly criticizes your every action. Their words may wound deeply, but remember, such criticism often stems from their own internal struggles, not from you. Recognizing this truth diminishes the power of anger. Choosing to forgive doesn't mean accepting wrong behavior. It means not allowing it to control your emotions. Anger usually arises from unspoken expectations. We expect others to act a certain way, but the world is imperfect, and everyone carries burdens we may not see. Understanding this can help dissolve those expectations, leaving no room for anger to take root. The beauty of forgiveness lies in its ability to not only help us overcome anger, but to also bring a genuine sense of joy and relief. Reflect on a time when you helped someone without anticipating anything in return. How did it feel? Likely, it brought peace and a deep sense of fulfillment. As Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Practicing forgiveness is not only about giving, but about regaining control over our emotions. It is a form of spiritual freedom that no material wealth can provide. Modern studies back up this ancient wisdom, showing that people who practice kindness and selflessness regularly report higher levels of happiness. Stoicism, with its teachings passed down through millennia, has always understood that forgiveness is not merely a moral action. It is a pathway to a richer, more meaningful life. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, can I see this situation from the other person's point of view? What might be motivating their actions? Regularly asking yourself these questions can reduce discomfort and foster greater understanding. When was the last time you helped someone without expecting anything in return? How did it make you feel? Reflecting on such moments can guide you to incorporate forgiveness into your daily life. Forgiveness doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as being patient with someone's carelessness. Instead of trying to control what is beyond your power, focus on improving yourself. When you extend kindness to others, be thankful for the opportunity rather than clinging to anger. Seneca beautifully expressed this, saying, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." No matter where life places you, there is always a chance to show compassion. Choose forgiveness, not just for others, but for yourself, because in offering understanding, you create a better world for both yourself and those around you. Forgiveness is not merely an act, it is the key to living freely and peacefully.